Wow, I've been lucky enough to have a few highlights in my career. I would say there are two that come to mind. One was in 1994 when we sold Paramount Communications to Viacom. It was a relatively complicated transaction. We ended up in the Delaware court. Ultimately, we lost in the Delaware court, but we then sold the company to Viacom and made our shareholders a lot of money. So it was an exhilarating experience to go through that. Not many people get to do that. The second one would have been when I left Paramount after we sold the company. I went to DreamWorks, which was a startup company with three very high-profile entertainment executives. And having been in the entertainment business then for about 15, 20 years, you could see the pitfalls of people who tried to start up entertainment businesses. And usually it comes down to they could never raise enough money to sustain the business through the product life cycle. And the three guys that started DreamWorks were probably the only three people in the entertainment business that could. And ultimately we ended up raising about $5 billion. Now, DreamWorks didn't make any money for 7 years. We tied the investors in for 10 because most investors bail out too soon. But it did take about $4.5–5 billion to turn that company into profitability. And now it's a very successful listed company. And so I take a little bit of credit, a little bit of pride in doing that. I think those are two highlights. I give the same advice to all young people that I've worked with over the years, and it's really threefold, because it's all the mistakes that I made, and so it's partially based on experience. The first one is don't worry about money. Money will take care of itself. Too many people are worried about how much money am I going to make, and when will I get to this particular salary level? And yeah, it's a means of keeping score, but my experience is that you make too little money when you're young and you make too much money when you're older. And so if you're just patient, that'll take care of itself. The second piece of advice I give them is that if you're in a company, look for a rabbi. Look for somebody who's going to sponsor you, who can work for it, who has a high profile in the company, and will mentor you, because that is probably the single most important thing, particularly in a large company. Is finding someone who you can learn at the footsteps of and who will promote you and promote your talent and capability. And then the third thing, which I feel most strongly about, is never worry about your next job. Do the job you have very well, and the next job will take care of itself. Too many people worry about where am I going next, and I want his job, or I want her job, or this is the job I want. And they fail to realize that in doing that, they sort of take their eye off the ball on the job they have. And so I tell them, just worry about the job you have. The second one will take care of itself. Well, this has been last 12 months have been a watershed year in our company. We're going to have record revenues and record earnings. Largely due to the fact that we recombined the brands across the globe. They were separated back in the 80s, and we acquired our European affiliate in 2010. And even with the challenges in the European economy over the past year, we think that the long-term strategic importance of now having two global brands, really two of the three, that have a global footprint, and having important toeholds in China and India in the car rental business is going to allow our company to prosper for the next 10 or 15 years. What I like best about our company is that we're not at risk for any obsolescence. When people need to travel when they get to an airport, there are alternatives, but they're pretty widely separated by choice and convenience and price. And I think car rental sort of stands out as the great balance between all three of those attributes that people look for.